increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Bagels and Joe is the best place to start off your mornings, and you can order your breakfast ahead of time on their app. You can't go wrong with one of their great bagel sandwiches or breakfast burritos. Stop by any of their 4 locations in Lincoln and their location in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
Hello, Husker fans. Stop into Zollner Ford Beatrice for all your automotive needs. Whether new or used, car, truck, crossover, SUV, or EV, we've got them. Shop our ever-changing specials at ZollnerofBeatrice.com or give us a call today and go Big Red. We are Zollner Ford Beatrice, Nebraska's volume dealer with the hometown service you expect.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. Happy Sunday. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. We're going to keep it live on the brick and mortar. We got live until about 8:15. 8:15, we'll switch it over. We do got NFL on the slate for you guys, and I believe another across the pond game early this morning. You got Broncos Jets, 8:30 a.m. So also a reminder, set your fantasy football lineup if you haven't done so yet. We do got 8:30 kickoff NFL. And like I said, I was going to take over on the brick and mortar here in about, 10 minutes now, 8:05. 8:15 is when we'll officially switch over. So if you guys want to join in now, 402-464-5685, Sartor Heyman text line. That is the way to text in your thoughts. We're obviously going to talk Nebraska, Maryland for the majority of this hour. So again, download the Ticket app or watch streams if you want to continue to hear my local conversation over college football, or just stick to the brick and mortar if you want to listen to NFL. But we'll also talk about some of the other games that went on. Yesterday was a lot of craziness happened. And the big ones obviously being what happened to UCLA in the past 2 games, Northwestern, not even what happened to Northwestern, but really what's going on with Penn State. Are they just completely out of it at this point in the season? And then, of course, Nebraska football. You find a way to win another game. I don't care that it's Maryland. That was a 4-1 Maryland team. I think whoever won that team is going to end up being ranked. So I do think Nebraska is going to end up being ranked as a result of being 5-1 through a tough Cincinnati win. And again, Cincinnati, they keep racking up wins. They beat Scott Frost's team, UCF last night. So again, more stock on their resume. They got a big win over Iowa State. And I think Iowa State was 14 at the time. So you got a good Cincinnati win under the belt. Say what you will about Akron, Houston Christian, but you beat those teams like you were supposed to. And then you get to some big test, Michigan, but you only lose by 3. You bounce back against Michigan State, and then you beat a 4-1 Maryland team. That all sits pretty good in my book. I think that's a good enough resume to finally break into that top 25. Not that it really matters a whole lot at this point in the season. Keep winning games and you'll move up regardless. But I do think that's, it wasn't we can just go walk in the College Park and go win that game easily. We'll go through some of the stats here and kind of break down what I'm essentially saying. But I don't think Maryland necessarily is a bad team. Not one that I think we should just expect it to go in there and roll over. My score predictions were pretty varied. In one scenario, I had a 30-10 win if everything clicked right for Nebraska. And another scenario, maybe not as high scoring, but I wasn't going to be surprised if Maryland hung in there, either lost by 3 or won by 3. And that was exactly what happened for Nebraska. They ended up winning by 3, 34-31 final score. We'll go over some of the basic stats and we'll break down some of the more unique ones. So total yards, Nebraska wins that battle, 453 to Maryland's 379. Through the air, pretty tied up there, 260 for Nebraska, 249 for Maryland. Rushing yards, Emmett Johnson, really good game for him. Nebraska rushing yards 193, Maryland 130. However, sack adjusted, because again, these stats are always a little bit flawed in college. I wish they would just kind of rack these up the same way they do the NFL. So sack adjusted rushing yard average, Nebraska actually had about 203 yards, lost about 7 with the sack. And then Maryland, 136. Red zone, good stat for Nebraska. Nebraska was 5 for 5 in the red zone yesterday. That is one that I don't know if we've been 100% since the beginning of the year. I'm almost positive that we haven't. At some point or another, we've at least gone backwards through penalties or just missed the field goal or found a way to back ourselves up to basically making punts in territory. But Nebraska was good yesterday. 5 for 5, like I said. They made every chance count when they finally did get down to the red zone. Maryland wasn't bad either. In the red zone, they were 2 for 2. Time of possession, Nebraska lost it, but only by a few minutes. 28 to Maryland's 31. Turnovers, very obviously, Nebraska had 3. All 3 interceptions, and we will talk about Dylan Raio's performance in that one. Fumbles, no one had any sacks. Nebraska had 1 sack and had 1 sack and gave up 6. Not a great number there. 1 sack for 6 yards. Apologies there. And then Maryland, same thing. They had 1 sack, gave up for 10 yards, and then tackles for loss. Nebraska was 4, and then Maryland for 3. All right, individual stats. We'll start on Maryland, and because I think Dylan Raiola is a bigger conversation in this one. Malik Washington, quarterback for Maryland, 27 for 37, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, a 73% completion rating. Probably the worst our passing defenses looked, and probably the first time we haven't made a quarterback look really pedestrian out there. I don't think we had a game where a quarterback's thrown for 200 yards, let alone a game where a quarterback has thrown for a gain that was more than 20 plus yards. I know I talked about that stat last week, and Michigan State didn't have any success with it. So finally ran into a team that actually had some really good passing success against this defense. And their run game wasn't, necessarily elite by any means. You had 62 yards, 36 yards, 23 yards, a little bit running back by committee. The longest run on the day from a running back was 28 yards, and the highest average for a running back was 5.6 with about 11 carries. Everybody else was well under 4 yards per carry. So the run defense actually held up pretty all right, and it was more so the passing defense. Now, it wasn't all on the secondary. There's certainly times where it felt like Nebraska wasn't able to develop a whole lot of pressure. Malik Washington looked pretty comfortable in there for, really most of the game. Until the pressure maybe affected Malik Washington more, the mental pressure, than any of the actual physical pressure that we were able to develop. You credit the Terps offensive line. They did a really good job protecting him all day long. And, if Malik Washington polished his footwork a little bit more, he could have some monster performances. He has a lot of throws when I was watching yesterday where, he's throwing it behind guys. He's just sailing it over the top of his head. And just about every time he did that, he has this kind of just fading in the pocket where he's always just kind of moving. He never really planted his feet on a few of those throws. And you look at some of those prior games, and I was kind of waiting for Nebraska, where he's going to have one of these throws where He doesn't really set his feet. He's kind of just fading out of the pocket. And as a result, he throws it behind and over. And he had a few of those. Unfortunately, none of them turned into interceptions for Nebraska. But if you look at Malik Washington through the games, I mean, that's kind of been his biggest problem. He's got a cannon. And when he sets his feet, he can deliver pretty much any ball out there. Maybe struggles a little bit with a touch pass. But as far as the crossing route goes, he's got one of the faster balls you'll see in the Big Ten. Problem is just when he doesn't set his feet, those turn into interceptions. And in this game, he didn't have any throws that went that right. But you go look at that last drive of the game. I mean, the guy was open. The problem was from Lake Washington, he was kind of sliding his feet in the middle of the throw. And it ended up behind him, incomplete pass. They turn over on downs, and Nebraska wins the game. That is kind of the story of Malik Washington, where if he had a clean pocket and set his foot, he'd deliver just about, felt like, every time. And it's a little bit nitpicking here because he did have 249 yards, almost 250, and he threw for 73% completion rating. But if he, tuned up a few more things, he's a really deadly quarterback. I honestly think if he polished his footwork a little bit more, that is one of the better quarterbacks in the entire Big Ten. Because when he does throw a good ball, like I said, he's got a lot of heat on those, and they're going to be hard to pick off. But unfortunately for us, none of those throws were too far off for us to pick it off. And unfortunately for Malik Washington, his footwork wasn't good enough at the end there to deliver that ball, which ultimately ended up being a incomplete pass, turnover on downs. Dylan Raiola on the other side, he was 20 for 29, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, though. He had 260 yards and a completion rating of 69%. Really weird stat line. I mean, you only missed 9 passes, but 3 of those interceptions. And, breaking down the interceptions, trying to figure out who's at fault. Ultimately, Dylan Raiola is going to take a blame in all of these interceptions because you're the guy that threw it. But, the couple of them, I can see where it went wrong. Not to say that he made the right decision. That second, the first one, I don't have a whole lot on. I think it was just a bad throw. The second interception, I think he was just trying to throw that thing out of bounds and didn't put enough heat on it. So luckily, he did the thing that we've all been screaming forever is if you don't have anything, get rid of it. He did get rid of it, or at least tried to. He just didn't put enough mustard on it. I kind of get where he was coming from. I think he knew. He's like, I got to throw this thing quite a bit down the field because I believe where he was at, it would have been intentional grounding, and I have to double check the tape on that. So he had to actually put a ton of mustard on it, and he didn't. It was just short, and then Maryland's just sitting there right underneath it, right at the edge of the boundary, waiting to pick it off. Okay, so that's the second interception, and like I said, the first one, just not a great throw. The third pick, I'm not sure if it was just the wrong route or what was going on there. It looked like a little comeback route, except the wide receiver kind of rounded it out like a banana peel. And it felt like Dylan Raiola threw it for him to come back vertically, to do a hard plant and just turn around on a dime and work back towards the ball. And again, the wide receiver kind of like got to the top of the route instead of, cutting hard back and coming back vertically towards the ball. Like I said, he just kind of rounds it out. And then it looked like another horrible ball for Dylan Raiola. And maybe it was. I don't know what the route was, but the way Dylan Raiola threw it, it felt like they weren't on the same page. Now, that's still on Dylan Raiola. Like I said, he's got to make sure that he trusts the guys that he's thrown to and they're on the same page. But again, I don't know how much of that was Dylan Raiola just doesn't have any accuracy, or I think the guys were on the wrong page. Now, not a thing that you can gloss over, and not something that you go, say Dylan Raiola is perfect. He didn't do anything wrong. But I think 2 of those interceptions were really unfortunate. The one being, I think he did try to do finally the right thing, get that thing, throw it out of bounds. And then the third one being, I just don't think they're on the same page. Wide receiver and quarterback on that one. Well, that being said, we did officially switch over NFL on the brick and mortar. So if you guys are still listening, fantastic. That means you found the stream or the ticket app at the very least. If you're not listening, you're listening to the Steelers game as they are across the pond. 8:30 kickoff. So again, that was your final reminder. If you didn't set up your fantasy football lineups yet, you got about like 15 minutes till kickoff to do so. If you have anyone from any of those teams, Steelers I said Steelers, Jets and Broncos, not Steelers. Jets, Broncos, those guys just kicking off in about 15 minutes or so. That will be on the brick and mortar. Back to Husker football, though. Let's get to some of the rushing stats for Nebraska. Emmett Johnson, 21 attempts, really one of his best games all season, I think. 21 attempts, 176 yards. He had a long of 50 and an average of 8.4. Nothing to scoff at whatsoever. Really good game for him. And he's seems to get better almost as the season goes on. If we can get more of consistency from the passing game, which this game was bizarre for Dylan Raiola. Like I said, he threw 3 picks, but it wasn't like it wasn't horrible for the most part. It's just a few moments you really wanted to look away, but when it's clicking, it looked really good. And again, Nebraska's getting a knack for utilizing those tunnel screens. So he owes his wide receivers, in particular Hunter, for getting some of those yak yards for him that really bumps up his passing yardage, because again, I think that one tunnel screen, Dylan Raiola threw it maybe for like a 2-yard little screen pass. And I think Hunter may have brought that thing like 60, 40 plus yards. So Dylan Raiola, you got to thank your wide receivers for that one, giving you the yak yards. But nonetheless, when you have that passing game, it's starting to really open up for Emmett Johnson. And that guy shoots out of a cannon when he's playing his best type of game. Offensive line did a good job, I thought, in terms of blocking in the run game. The pass protection, really wasn't bad either. There's only a few times I felt like Dylan Raiola had to scramble what I felt like was a bit too early. But the offense, I thought played pretty well overall. Outside of a few turnovers, we went through it. I mean, you're 5 for 5 in the red zone. You can't be too upset with that. Third downs, you can nitpick. They were 3 for 7. Maryland, on the other hand, was 7 for 15. That kind of felt like that was another big point of the game, where how many times did Nebraska have Maryland in a 3rd and long, or a 3rd and very long, or even just the 3rd and manageable, and we just couldn't get any stops. What felt like until the 3rd quarter, over and over and over. So again, the passing defense for Nebraska, actually first time in a while where it felt like wasn't overbearing for a quarterback. And you credit Malik Washington. Again, I think that has a lot to do with his fastball, where he's just throwing straight heat on a lot of those quick routes. And at times he had some really good accuracy too on those deeper routes. But they were doing a lot on those 3rd down conversions, keeping their drives alive. And that was, the best thing Maryland probably did all day, was keeping Nebraska's defense out there for as long as they did. I think it allowed Malik Washington to eventually get comfortable, just kind of methodically plucking their way down the field. And just a really good performance from Maryland's offense to keep those drives alive over and over again on those 3rd downs, despite sometimes hurting themselves with penalties. That was another story for, really both Maryland and Nebraska. More so Maryland, I will say. If you're Mike Locksley, you got to be really upset. On some of those guys on the roster, there was the obvious play where, you got Dylan Raiola. He takes a shot, clean shot. He's limping off the field, takes another shot, not a clean shot. I mean, what are you doing there? That's unsportsmanlike conduct. You got the guy who's, Dylan Raiola. Some people will say, well, the play's live. Why is that, illegal? Just because the play is live doesn't mean dirty hits are okay. The refs can use a little bit of critical thinking there. You got a quarterback who's limping off the field, kind of hopping on one leg because he clearly just took a shot and he was laying on the ground beforehand. And then the player, just right in front of the ref, I think it might have been Tucker for Maryland, just knocks him over again real quick. Again, just because the play is live doesn't mean it's legal. Ref uses a little bit of critical thinking and says, you know what? I think that was unsportsmanlike conduct. And it certainly was. And that was the most egregious unsportsmanlike conduct you saw. But there was a lot for Maryland. And in particular, I want to say it was like the 2nd quarter, maybe getting close to halftime. I mean, they were racking up 1, 2, 3 in a row at one point, at least 2 in a row. And then maybe a few plays break, and then they rack up a 3rd one. Again, if you're Mike Locksley, that is the thing that is bothering me the most after that game. That's 15, 30, 45 yards we gave them on the house due to unsportsmanlike penalties. They had, it didn't kill their drive every time, but there's a few times where it certainly stalled them to where it felt like they had a ton of momentum. They get a penalty like that. Nebraska's defense gets time to regroup, recuperate, and then eventually able to get the stop. Probably the worst thing for Maryland all day was those unsportsmanlike penalties. Not because, they were like kind of 50-50 calls. They were all pretty obvious and egregious, and you can't have that. If you're going to be, Maryland and you're 4-1 and you want to kind of break out of what people think Maryland football is, you got to make those plays count, and they really struggled for it. Penalties, though, on the day, Nebraska wasn't necessarily great either. It wasn't the worst day for us when it came to penalties. But at the same time, was not great, as I'm trying to try to find those stats real quick here. I'll have to find those on the other side, but just another game for Nebraska where it wasn't totally clean. Wasn't the worst one we've seen yet, though, but you're still getting a false start in some critical moments. Not egregious at any point in time, just still a few moments where we're still shooting ourselves in the foot. I still thought the offense blind played a lot better, despite picking up a couple penalties throughout the day. Final thing I got, and then we'll throw it to break. The trick plays with Heinrich Haarberg. I harped about this, I think it was last week with Tristan Gomez. They don't work. We just can't draw him up like that with him out there. He is too much of a red flag. I think it's pretty obvious what we're trying to do when he's in the game. And a lot of it too, I don't always understand. We're getting him running to the outside, almost like on a power option. And he's not necessarily the fastest guy running sideline to sideline. You get him running vertically, I like him a lot more. But again, with Haarberg, I think it's just too obvious when he's out there. I think people know what they're looking at when they see him line up in the backfield, that, okay, the ball's probably going to go to Heinrich Haarberg here and he's going to run it in. He's a good enough tight end as it is. You can just use him at this point as a traditional tight end, and he showed it a few times. He had a great catch, not quite in the end zone. I think it was about 5 yards out. But I mean, just use him as a traditional tight end. I think teams are just way too keen in on he is a X factor in the red zone that Nebraska's probably trying to run some sort of trickery. And a lot of times the trickery is just a direct snap to him and him running with some lead blockers up front, which is fine. But again, I don't think he's necessarily the fastest side to side or even just the fastest startup. He takes a little bit to get his speed going. So it's just not the best fit down there, especially when you have Emmett Johnson running the way he is. Just trust the running back that got you down there. And again, let Heinrich Haarberg just play tight end. Maybe down the road you can bring that back into the mix, but I keep doing this stat because we try it once a game. I think we're probably now like 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 on Heinrich Haarberg trick plays or Heinrich Haarberg direct snap plays. I don't think it's a Heinrich Haarberg issue. Like I said, I think it's just way too obvious for anyone who's defending Nebraska that if he's in there behind center, good idea to circle him on a potential run. And that's so far is what teams have been doing. And it stopped us on some special teams plays where we tried to go for it on 4th down. Stopped us in some red zone opportunities. And again, stopped us in this Maryland game. So didn't lose us in those games. But again, we're just not getting a lot of success on it. Heinrich Haarberg is a good player. I just don't know if that role is like really working at all for him. He does fine when he's just playing traditional tight end. And again, he made a great play yesterday and a really crucial drive for Nebraska. So no disrespect to Haarberg. I think he's phenomenal. In those cases, I think he is just way too much of an obvious factor where teams are just honing in on Haarberg if he's anywhere near behind center. With that being said, we do got to throw it to break. Don't go anywhere. Got a couple more segments. I will talk to you guys in just a little bit.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's schwissow.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs has been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in segment number 2, going solo for an hour, all the way up until 9 o'clock. And then we got Fitness Fanatics, as always, for 2 hours. Pete Ferguson, Bigger Than the Score, from 11 to noon. And then The Breeze, they will join us also around maybe 1:30 or so. Well, with Husker Volleyball, 1:30 if they sweep Purdue today. And I don't, want to jinx it, but the way things have been going, these post-game shows for Husker Volleyball, they come a lot quicker than you would always anticipate because they've just been that good. So if they continue being that good, maybe around 1:30. If it goes into anything beyond 3 sets, 2 o'clock, probably 2:30 at the very latest. But we do have Husker Volleyball post-game today as well. And again, that one, like I said, going to be in the afternoon. They do start at 12 p.m. That is the start time for Husker Volleyball and Purdue. So like I said, it's just a matter of time. How many sets does it take? Usually about an hour and a half if it's a sweep. So that's why I picked that 1:30 number. And of course, Mandy Monson, she joins us for that one as always. And Husker Volleyball still undefeated. They swept Washington and their last one, I believe that one on Friday night. So with all that being said, let's dive back into college football. Nebraska won. We went over that 34-31. The Huskers advanced to 5-1, 1 game away from bowling. Again, they got to chase that notorious bowling streak, currently sitting at 1-1. And let's just hear Matt Rule quick on it, since we do have it up here. Here's Matt Rule. And we were 5-1 last year.
That being said, we were 5-1 last year. And so, it's just about playing the next game, playing the next play, playing the next game. As corny as that sounds, man, I sit there the whole game. I can just tell you my nerves inside, guys, are going 100 miles a minute, and I just say, play the next play. Like, just keep playing. So I'm preaching that. I believe it.
So you have it. I mean, again, he says it. We all say it. Just play the next play. They are 5-1. You never want to look ahead. The next game coming, and all these games coming up here. And we're going to get into the rest of college football scores. I mean, you just can't take any of these games as a circled win anymore. College football has become, in my mind, so much more even than it used to be. It's really hard to be in Alabama where you have 5 stars sitting on the bench, learning and development, because they can go take their talents to a different university, maybe a university that's lesser than a Bama, a Georgia, even a Ohio State, but they can go take their talents somewhere else and go start and go get paid to start more than they would get paid to be a backup on a different team. Because not only do you get the NIL money, I mean, if you're starting, you're probably going to have a lot easier time getting sponsorships as well. So I'm not saying get the wrong for this. All I'm saying is it's a lot harder to build these teams that just never fall off. And Ohio State doing what they're doing, it makes it all the more impressive in my mind. Because they lost Kelly as an offensive coordinator as well, and those guys are still undefeated. The offense isn't always electric, but I think that was intentional with Julian Sand. His first time really starting at that level. So, and I think they've slowly kind of been giving him the reins. And we've seen that with their play throughout the season as their offense looks like it gets more aggressive as the weeks go on. We'll hear a little bit more from Matt Rule, and then we'll get back to some more of these college football scores. This one, just for simply saying that the team's just better. And he says it in a way that's not disparaging the guys of the past, but here's Matt Rule on the team just simply being better.
In fairness to our guys, I think we're just better. I mean, I think our guys battled, my first year. I love those guys. whatever success we have here moving forward, I'll always look back to the Reimers and the Nick Henriches and all those guys. Like, those guys were absolute warriors. And so I remember Ty Robinson saying to me one time, he said, "Coach, the one thing about us Nebraskans, even though he's from Arizona, he comes from Nebraska blood, right? That mom and dad went to Chadron State. Like, I remember him telling me, he's like, we can handle adversity and we don't quit. And so they've always had that. We're just getting better, and we're just making play. I mean, Pritchett kind of rolled his ankle and he played, hard. At the very end, he just was just really starting to limp on it. We put Turner in for him. Turner Corcoran, it's been a full year and he's out there and he makes the plays at the end. So, if I could say one last thing, I think, the offense and the defense, I think they support each other really well, and our special teams continue to come through. Even at the end of the half, it's sort of a shame we took that sack because we got the ball to the 50 at the half. We could have probably kicked a field goal.
So you have it. The team does look better. It's what you would hope for year 3 of Matt Rule. And I always get a little bit surprised about the opinions of Husker football after a loss. It's always, let's focus on the negatives. I mean, this team is 5-1. I will shut my trap if we stay 5-win team and, it takes us all the way till Iowa to break through and get that 6-win or even worse. I'll eat crow if we don't even get past five wins, but the team does look better. It may be not on the defensive front, but I think we can all say Dylan Raiola looks better than he did last year. So that should be a sign of hope that this kid who, maybe he had issues with the Mahomes thing or X, Y, and Z, but he looks better than last year. Our wide receiver core, it looks better than it did last year. Emmett Johnson, more so because he's getting the opportunities, I think, and shout out to Dana Holgerson for recognizing it. He looks better than he did last year. Even the offensive line, I think the run game looks better than last year. We can debate about pass protection. I'm willing to argue if that's better than last year. It might even be worse. But there's not a whole lot of areas where you can say we look worse. The defensive line and maybe pass protection. The secondary, as far as our corners and safeties, I know this game against Washington or Maryland, we got exposed a little bit there, but it's not like they were letting people over the top. Some big catches on some short routes that they kind of broke to the outside to pick up 10, 20 more yards. Not a whole lot of stuff, though, where people are just beating us over the top. Again, they gave up some decent yards, but it wasn't atrocious by any means, not in my mind. They look better than they did last year. This team does look better. I mean, it looks better in just about every aspect. Special teams, I didn't even mention, looks drastically better than it did last year. So at some point, we can look at the signs that things are looking better than it did last year without pouting that we're not a championship contender just yet. Now, when the progression stops, we can have the conversation, and then we can maybe call out some legitimate concerns. And there's always concerns every game. I'm saying you can't have your criticisms, but at the end of the day, the team looks better, and we're 5-1, and we beat another close game, or we won another one-score game. I can't remember. Someone has a stat out there of Nebraska football where they lose these games all the time when they have the opportunity to win the game on the final drive of the game. And Nebraska finally did that yesterday. And I'm going to see if I can find that list for you guys. So while I try to find that list, real quickly, this one's about a minute long. Let's hear Dylan Raiola and Matt Rule's thoughts on Dylan Raiola being able to bounce back again after throwing 3 interceptions and finding a way to get that game-winning drive.
In your words, what does it say about Dylan to come back and lead the team to that score after what had happened?
Yeah, I mean, one of the moments of my coaching, coming up in coaching, I was a young assistant offensive line coach for the Giants, and in the first half, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 interceptions Eli Manning threw against Tampa Bay, and he came back and won the game like a kind of a walk-off play like that. And I just remember being like those guys don't get to feel sorry for themselves. They just got to keep playing, and so. Dylan was banged up. He was, hitting the thigh in the first half. Obviously that one pick that the kid hit him late, but he's just the ultimate competitor. It's why I get upset. Sometimes when people, the national media, it's all the Mahomes compare. I'm like, this guy's a stone cold fighting winner, and he wants to win so badly. Ja'Cory, you guys saw that punt return, that last punt return. He reverses field, gets laid out, and instead of running off the field, he just runs right back in the huddle. Man, like, how can you not be inspired by those guys? So Dylan, he'll go back and look at the tape. You know, you kind of live by the Sardavis where the touchdown he threw to Dane in the back of the end zone. I mean, that might have been, you know, not a great decision, but he made it and he made the play. The last touchdown to Dane there, the one-handed catch, like that ball's at 6 inches less. It's picked off. It's a perfect throw, perfect catch. So, I'm proud of the kid.
All right. So you have it. There's Matt Rule. And I think he's right. You know, like that's to me, that's a really good measurement to have for a quarterback is does this guy just completely erode away and crumble when he's not playing good? When he's not playing good, does he just kind of like fold? No, he didn't. He kept playing. We can criticize the interceptions, but he also got us a game-winning drive. Both things are true. All right, I did find it. So, 8 years, 34 games, 38 drives, and 2 wins. In games where Nebraska's final offense possession went tied or losing by 8 points, a 1 score or less. 2018 all the way through 2025. And when you look through this, I mean, it's just incredible. It starts all the way back there. Obviously, Colorado, we lose that one. On a turnover on downs was the outcome. Troy, Northwestern, Iowa, Colorado again. And Northwestern was the one that we actually beat all the way back in 2018. But then we didn't have a single win where Nebraska has the final offensive possession with the opportunity to score and win the game, and they just don't. And like pretty much all of these games, we don't even score. And it's just an insane list to go through. Like I said, you beat Northwestern in 2020. 2020 has a lot of these at Iowa, at Illinois, at Oklahoma, Michigan State, Michigan. I'm not going to read all of these. You have to get all the way to 2025. Maryland, where again, Nebraska, you have the opportunity with the ball in your hand to go win the game. And they did it. It just feels like we glance over that. I just told you 34 games over 8 years where Nebraska's had the opportunity to go score and win the game. And we've done that twice in those 34 games. One back in 2019 and one yesterday. So we can enjoy a win. The Terrapins are not bad. The Terps are not a bad team. Some of the score predictions might have told you they're a bad team, but this is a good one for Nebraska. And we can be okay and happy about it. And we can save some of the criticisms for a few hours later. So I always have to say that because I want people to enjoy the moment. You know, sometimes I'm amazed by after a big Husker win, and I'm like, oh, this is great. The city of Lincoln will be happy. The people will wake up with a smile on their face. And all that's true. But I'm also always amazed by the people that are just, it's not good enough. I'm like, well, I'll tell you right now, if you're not going to enjoy the journey, most of watching sports is not fun because you rarely ever win the whole thing. And, that might make all too much sense for a guy like me talking because I've convinced myself to watch the Bears, the Bulls, and this Husker football team, and all of which have not won. So maybe it's a little bit of brainwashing I'm doing to myself. But all I'm saying is enjoy the win. I only bring that stat to you because it tells you what you watched yesterday was a rarity in the last 34 games. You know, that we never win those. We statistically are winning less than 10% of the, even less than that. Statistically, we just don't win. And we found a way to do that yesterday. And again, for a guy like me growing up who's 26, it's just good to see a Husker football team that's actually winning on somewhat of a consistent level. From Bo Pelini to no one knows what the hell is going on with this football program to now, whether you think it's good enough or not, there's some stability there. And that stability has led us to 5 wins. And it led us to a bowl game last year and won us a bowl game last year. And you have to go back to 2016 before that even happened. So there's check marks, although they are not a championship. There are check marks that this Nebraska football team is checking off. That says they're getting better. And we can enjoy that. All right, that's my powwow on that. Enjoy the win. That's all I'm saying. We'll go through some scores on the other side. Indiana, Oregon. You had Illinois, Ohio State, Northwestern, Penn State, as we brought up, UCLA and Michigan State, as well as some others. You had the Red Rivalry shootout. Shocked by that performance on both sides of the ball. So we'll talk about all that next with about the 5 minutes we have remaining. So don't go anywhere. Harrison Arens going solo for another segment. And then we do got Jeff and Nicole Essing, Fitness Fanatics. They'll join us from 9211. All right, don't go anywhere. I'll join you guys in a little bit.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Rollouts have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Rollouts will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Rollouts make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Rolloffs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Got about a few minutes left here. Let's go over some of the college football scores from across the entire scoreboard yesterday. We'll start off with the saddest one, I think. And I don't even have it in front of me. I just remember the score, 37-0. Things are not great in Wisconsin. It's gotten bad there. Now, the Hawkeyes, you might ask yourself, are not a great offense. Better than what they have been in the past. But let's just take a look at Wisconsin football schedule. And I've talked about this a lot before the season started. And, the conversation I was having was, I don't think Wisconsin's going to go bowling. And then the conversation was, how many games can Wisconsin win after looking at their schedule? So let's just go to the beginning of the year. Jeez, really rough year for them. Okay, so beginning of the year. You got a win versus Miami, Ohio. Good. Win over Middle Tennessee. Great. Now, here comes the losses. You lose to Bama. You lose to Maryland. 27-10, by the way, they lost to Maryland. You lose to Michigan. You lose to Iowa. And you lost to Iowa 37-0. Up next, the Badgers have number 1 Ohio State, number 3 Oregon. I think a very good Washington team. Coleman might be one of the better backs in the Big Ten. So I think they lose that one. Indiana, who just beat Oregon. Number 17, Illinois. And Minnesota. Minnesota, their most gettable game. If they do not get Minnesota, we are looking at a 2-win Minnesota team. Or, excuse me, Wisconsin team. That is tough sledding for those guys. I'm not going to pick on them anymore. Indiana, they get their big win over Oregon. And that's a statement win for Indiana. I think Indiana needed that win to get people to stop looking at them like the little brother, if that makes any sense. They were blowing out teams, and I don't know if it was because they're in the Big Ten, but you saw that a lot where, for whatever reason, Indiana wasn't always getting a ton of respect. You saw it in the preseason polls. That was a team that just went to the college football playoffs. So everyone was like, well, it was a weak schedule. They didn't really play anyone. And this year, they pick up where they left off. And now they get their first really big win on the road. They beat Oregon 30-20. Ohio State, in their game on the road, they beat Illinois pretty easily, 34-16. Florida, after a big win over Texas, they fall back and they lose to Texas A&M. Texas, who looked bad last week, and their loss to Florida, they make the second best defense in the country look pedestrian. Texas wins over Oklahoma. Mateer was back in that game as well, and I wonder if that was the best decision. In a really close game, Bama beats Missouri on the road. That was the legendary homestand for Missouri. They had 6 straight games at home, and they finally take a loss. They lose the last game before they have to hit the road. They fall to 3 over Bama. Georgia, Auburn. Georgia wins that one 20-10. LSU beats South Carolina 20-10 as well. And then last one I want to talk about, I'll throw it out there. Colorado, they beat Iowa State 24-17. Last one I do want to talk about, Michigan. They lose to USC 31-12. And I picked Michigan to win this game. I was wrong. USC was just too much on offense. But you're looking at the schedule. I have no idea what Nebraska has coming down the barrel now. I have no idea. I would have told you that Penn State was going to be the toughest game. Penn State lost to Northwestern yesterday. UCLA beat Penn State when they were 0-4. USC just dominated Michigan. We lost to Michigan by 3. So tough to size it up right now, I guess, is kind of my point. It just kind of shows you that right now, the Big Ten is a lot more balanced than I think people realize. Maybe not so much up top. Well, maybe. I don't know. I got to see, like, what does Indiana and Ohio State look like? Indiana is kind of putting themselves as one of those top tier teams, and Penn State seems to have fallen out. And then UCLA is frantically trying to be like one of those offenses, one of the best offenses in the country, but they started 0-4. And then Michigan State, after they lost to us, they just, I don't know if it's UCLA or if it was that loss hangover for Michigan State. All I know is the guys better be ready, because if anything that this last week showed us is that, man, if you're not ready to play, you're going to take a loss, because these results have been shocking. And obviously Northwestern being the most shocking of all those results. With that being said, though, that is going to go ahead, wrap it up for me. Appreciate everyone listening. We still got NFL on the brick and mortar, Jets and Broncos, I believe. If you guys want to continue to listen, use the Ticket app, any of the streams, Facebook, YouTube, XL, Channel 961. We got Jeff and Nicole coming up next, Fitness Fanatics.